Good morning, Sandyford Henderson, and a particular hello and welcome to all of the boys and girls. We have got a really exciting story that we're going to be looking at this morning, continuing in Mark's Gospel in chapter 10. Today we're mainly going to be looking at two things. First off, that we can be so self-obsessed, and secondly, the idea that let's put others first. Now, today's story is the third of three stories that are quite similar, where Jesus predicts his own death. In chapter 8, when Jesus says that he's going to die on the cross, Peter rebukes him. He tells him off. He says, "No way can you do that, Jesus." In chapter 9, Jesus predicts his death again, and the disciples are really confused, and they don't understand what Jesus means, and they're afraid to ask him what he means. And in this particular story that we're looking at today, in chapter 10, Jesus again tells his disciples that he's going to die for them on the cross. But this time we get a different sort of reaction. James and John, the two sons of thunder, kind of like the big cats of the disciples, they come up to Jesus and ask him whether they can be seated next to him in heaven. So rather than asking Jesus, "You're going to die? Wait, what does that mean?" They are so self-obsessed. All they care about is where they are going to be seated in heaven and how glorious they are going to look. Can you think of other examples of people who might be a bit too self-obsessed? Gaston in Beauty and the Beast is so self-obsessed that everybody just laughs at him. He thinks that he's super good looking and charming, but actually his personality is just not attractive. And he wants Belle all for himself, but doesn't really love her in a servant-hearted way, so Belle shows no interest in him whatsoever. Similarly, but maybe slightly less comedic, Scar from The Lion King is so self-obsessed. He just wants all the glory for himself. This self-obsession leads him to killing his own brother. Then look what happens when he becomes king. There is division, there is famine, everybody goes hungry, the lionesses hate him, and he's just a terrible, self-obsessed king. The thing is, if you're so self-obsessed and always putting yourself first of all, you're actually not going to achieve everything that you want to. Secondly, people probably won't like you. And thirdly, you're missing out on the best life choices possible, and that is following Jesus. So rather than being self-obsessed, let's try to put others first. In chapter 8, Jesus responds to his disciples by telling them to take up their cross and follow him. In chapter 9, Jesus tells his disciples that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So those that put themselves last will actually be first in God's kingdom. And then in today's passage in chapter 10, Jesus says that to be great, you've actually got to be a servant. Now, I used to help out at this Christian camp in Belgium, which was called Interaction. And when I first went along, I said, "Can I please be a leader? Just check out my Christian CV. I've got all the credentials. I've been president of this society, that society. I'm kind of a big dog in these sorts of Christian circles." But they actually said to me, "No, you have got to be an assistant first. We would like you to do the cleaning, the setting up the tables, the washing up, and doing all of this service before you can be one of the leaders." I thought, no, I'm going to go on this camp and it's going to be so boring. But actually, doing all of this servant-hearted work turned out to be really joyful, and I had a great time with other people serving the kids who came along to the camp. And that showed me that it's actually really joyful to serve and put others first. And we had this great saying on our camp, which was, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve." Wait, that's not the right one. Here we go. "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many." And there are really practical ways that we can serve others. In fact, I find that maybe at Christmas time or with other people's birthdays, it's more joyful to give presents than it is to receive. So maybe we could get into the habit of giving presents to each other. Or maybe throughout the week, you might see that there are opportunities to help out your parents, maybe your grandparents, by doing a few different household chores. Try it. You might actually find that there's real enjoyment and joy in serving others. Now, I was really touched this week because a primary 2 boy came into school and he declared to his whole class, "I am going to have a great day for God." And maybe this week we can go out with the same sort of attitude, that we're going to have great days serving others for God. So let's now sing "There is Power in the Blood."